Welcome to Powercoat Music. In this presentation, we are going to do a quick overview of the Behringer X32 40-channel digital mixer. We know that changing the mixer in your studio is a big deal, and if it's not, then it should be. Now, after all, the mixer is where all the magic happens and where everything comes together. Many producers view mixing consoles as another musical instrument that they play with to create and fine-tune their productions. This is because certain mixers have distinct sounds, personalities, and characteristics. With this, some struggle in their decision when deciding to purchase a mixer. Now, some love analog mixers while others choose to go digital. For more on the differences between analog and digital mixers, watch my presentation, Analog versus Digital Mixers, on this channel. Now, I currently own the Behringer Eurodesc MX9000 mixing console. It's an analog mixer that's worked great for me for the past 2 decades now. However, when I check out the mixing consoles available from Behringer today, there's just no comparison to my current mixer, especially when I look at the Behringer X32 40-channel digital mixer. Now, I've played with this mixer at various music stores, and whenever I seriously consider upgrading to a digital mixer, the X32 is a top choice because of its features, price, and ease of use. Released back in 2012, X32 was a major game changer for Behringer and forced many audio engineering professionals to reevaluate their prejudices against the brand. Since then, with ongoing firmware updates, X32 has only gotten better. It's gotten more reliable and increasingly flexible. The Behringer X series digital mixers consist of 5 different models, which include the X32, which we're going to talk about in this presentation, the X32 Compact, the X32 Producer, the X32 Rack, and the XR18. In this presentation, again, we'll focus on the Behringer X32 with an overview consisting of the unit's features, technical specifications, top panel controls, and rear panel connections. We'll start with the Behringer X32's features. The X32 is a 40-input, 25-bus digital mixer. This includes 16 mix buses, a main LCR, and 6 matrix buses. The mic preamps are gain programmable and Midas-designed. That's some high-end stuff there. They offer a lofty dynamic range and enhanced common mode rejection ratio. Now, this is also referred to as a CMRR. Now, CMRR is a metric used to quantify the ability of a device to reject common mode signals, which are those that appear in phase at both inputs. The unit also has 40 processing channels and 25 motorized faders. A USB flash connection allows for uncompressed recordings, a storing of presets, and enabling system updates. 6 independent matrix buses are included with inserts with 6-band parametric EQ and dynamics processing. X32 offers also enhanced workflow and multi-channel networking. Now, this is included with firmware version 2.0 and later. All this additional feature set, this includes acoustic integration with Behringer calls for total connectivity and control of speaker and in-ear monitor systems, or IEM systems. The enhancement also of more than 50 onboard FX plugins and the addition of classic processor examples based on true physical modeling. The unit also has, with 2.0 and later, the ability to swap expansion cards, which I think is very, very powerful for connecting to other multi-channel audio networking via USB, ADAT, MDI, and Dante protocols. X32 has scene management for easy handling of complex production, so you can save and recall scenes. A XUSB recording interface card is also included with a new unit. With this, X32's features added with firmware version 3 include auto mix functionality that offers automatic gain sharing and mic ducking, an X-Touch integration. This allows direct control of parameters over an Ethernet connection, and the ability to set up a full crossover without using a matrix mix. It also includes reverse polarity on your outputs for easy speaker alignment, and a fully redesigned X32 edit app that has a brand new interface, full screen capabilities, floating windows, configurable fader layers, and much more. Let's move on to the Behringer X32's technical specifications. The tech specs are grouped into 3 categories, which are processing, connectors, and mic input characteristics. We'll start with the processing. Here on your screen, we have the processing group, which consists of the number of input processing channels, which are 32 inputs, 8 aux channels, and 8 FX return channels. You have your internal effects engines and true stereo and mono information. Again, we have a complete drill down that we just yanked from Behringer for all the nerds and people who just want all the detailed information about this unit. We have it here, including the internal total recall scenes, which you can have up to 100, the signal processing data, the analog to digital and digital to analog conversion information, the latency information, which a lot of people consider to be very important with digital processing, and your network latency, again, which is very important when you have your Ethernet plugged in, which is also spec there is pretty good. Let's move on to our next group, which is the connectors group. And in the connectors group, we have our XLR inputs, programmable mic preamps that are designed by Midas. Again, very high. Midas was a very and is a very high-end platform. We have 32 XLR inputs. We have a talkback mic on the unit. We have our RCA inputs and outs, which are 2 16 XLR outputs. Our monitoring outputs, XLR and 1/4 inch. We have 2 for each. We have our aux inputs and outputs and 1/4 inch TRS balance. We have our phone outputs. We have 2 stereo for that. We have our digital AES and EBU output XLR. Also, there is an AES 50 port for the following platforms and protocols. We also have our expansion card information, and it also has a P16 connector for Ultranet, no power supply to that. And we also have our MIDI information and USB type A and B, and also we have a Ethernet connector. Moving on to the third and final group, which is the mic input characteristics. Again, the design is Midas, very high-end platform. We have, again, for all of our nerds that love this information or are going to want to know and compare this data with other digital mixers, we got our total harmonic distortion information, our input impedance for the XLR connections. We have that data there. Our non-clip maximum input level for XLR. We have our phantom power, switchable per input information, and also our equivalent input noise level for XLR. Data is stored there along with our CMMR, which we talked about previously, our CMMR XLR gain at both 20 decibels and 40 decibels. Now, we'll take a high-level view of the Behringer X32's top panel controls. The X32's top panel user interface is divided into 5 primary sections. These include the channel strip, the input channels, display and monitoring, group, bus and main channels, scenes, assign, and mute groups. Now on the top panel of the console, there are small view buttons. Users press those buttons to switch the console's large color display, or better known as the main display, to show information related to the section where the view button was pressed. Now let's start with our overview of the channel strip. To manage the controls for a channel strip, users must press the select button on the desired input or output channel of the unit. Parts of the channel strip have a button that when pressed will turn a specific effect on and off. This includes things like the low cut filter, noise gate, EQ, and the compressor. Rotary knobs are surrounded by an amber LED collar that shows the parameters value. Whenever this knob is turned off, it means that this specific control is not available for the selected channel type. The channel strip consists of the following subsections. Number 1, a config preamp. Number 2, gate and dynamics. Number 3, equalizer. And number 4, bus sends and the main bus. Each of the subsequent sections, or subsections I should say, has a view button that switches the main display to a page that displays all related parameters for that specific subsection. Let's move on to the input channels. At the top of every channel is a select button that makes that specific channel active. At any time, one channel is always active on the X32. Digitally controlled amplifier, or DCA groups, cannot be selected because they control a number of assigned channels rather than one specific channel. There are 16 input strips. These 16 channel strips represent 4 separate layers of inputs for the X32 that include input channels 1 through 16, input channels 17 through 32, auxiliary inputs 1 through 6, the USB playback, the effects returns, that is 1 left and 4 right, and the bus masters. Now every fader strip has a motorized 100mm level fader. It also has a mute and solo buttons, a gate indicator, an input level meter, compressor indicator, and a channel select button. In addition, each input channel has its own LCD screen, again, that displays the channel's details. It will also display the channel's input source. Let's check out now the display and monitoring group. The main color display can be switched to different screens using the console's view buttons, as well as any of the 8 buttons on the right side of the display. The display top section also shows status information. The top left corner shows the selected channel number, its nickname, and selected icon. The next block shows the current scene number and name in amber, that is the color amber, as well as the next upcoming scene. The center section displays the playback file name along with the elapsed and remaining time and the recorder status icon. The next blocks to the right has 4 segments to show the status of the AES50 ports A and B, the card slot, and the auto clock synchronization source and sample rate, that is at the top right. The small green square indicators show proper connectivity, I mean everything is good to go. The last block shows the console time. Let's move on to number 4, which is the group bus and main channel group. This section of the X32 offers 8 channel strips divided into the following layers. The first is an 8 DCA, that is digitally controlled amplifier groups. Next is the mixed bus masters, which are 1 through 8. After that, we have the mixed bus masters 9 through 16. And lastly, we have the matrix outputs 1 through 6 and the main center bus. Last but not least, we'll move on to number 5, which is the scenes, assign, and mute groups. Now, due to different fader groups, that is inputs on the left and outputs on the right, assigning channels or buses to a virtual DCA group in the X32 is rather simple. To do this, users hold the desired DCA group select button on the right side of the console while pressing the select buttons for all the desired input channels to assign to a DCA group. Now, assigning a mute group is the same as assigning a DCA group. However, with an additional precaution in the unit in order to prevent accidental muting of channels during a live performance. The assign section offers 3 banks. That is bank A, bank B, and bank C. each set of controls offers 4 rotary controls and 8 switchable buttons. 8 switches, or buttons. Now, this allows users to customize access to 36 random functions on the unit. To make a custom assignment, users must press the View button in the Assign section to edit the assignments. Then they select the set of controls that they wish to edit, that is A, B, or C. After that, users must select the control, that is 1 through 12, that you wish to assign. And then finally, users will select the parameter they wish to control and assign the function. Let's move on then to the main display, because in the main display and on the routing pages, if you press the utility button, it offers loading or saving of different presets of routing scenarios. Now, in the scenes menu, pressing the utility button offers copying, loading, saving, or naming of X32 scenes. And finally, we'll view the Behringer X32's rear panel connections. First, on the top left corner, we have the monitor and control room outputs. Here, users connect a pair of studio monitors using XLR or 1/4-inch cables. Beside that, we have outputs 1 through 16. Here, users send audio to external equipment using XLR cables. Outputs 15 and 16 by default carry the main stereo bus signals. Below that, we have the power switch, which is self-explanatory. And at the bottom left, we have the X USB card. Users can transmit up to 32 channels of audio to and from a computer via USB 2.0. Next to that, we have the remote control. Users can connect to a PC for remote control via USB or Ethernet cable. After that, we have our MIDI in and out ports. You can send and receive MIDI commands via 5-pin DIN cables. Then we have our AES and EBU outs. You send digital audio via 3-pin AES EBU XLR cable. Next, we have our Ultranet. Users can connect to a Behringer P16 personal monitoring system via an Ethernet cable here. Last, we have an AES 50 A and B port. You transmit up to 96 channels in and out via a shielded Cat5e cable. Now in the top right corner, we have inputs 1 through 32. You connect audio sources via XLR cables here. Last but not least, at the bottom left corner, we have our aux in and outs. You connect to and from external equipment via 1/4-inch or RCA cables here. In summary, in this presentation, we have only scratched the surface of what the Behringer X32 can do. X32 combines a control surface with a simple and streamlined workflow, extensive I/O, and signal processing into a smaller desktop console. It also uses motorized faders and rotary encoders along with a daylight viewable TFT screen. The control surface on the unit is designed to allow quick access to primary functions with total and automatic recall of settings. X32 also integrates with other X-Series related products, including the S16 digital stage box and the P16 personal monitoring system for complete live, studio, and installed sound solutions. Users can also control the mixer with the free iPad app or by editing and remote control software connected via Ethernet. With the X-Series brand models, Behringer has created more affordable, competitive, and easy to use digital mixing products that cannot be ignored. Well, that is a wrap. If you like this presentation, please give it the thumbs up and click the subscribe button on your screen now to join our group. We have new presentations coming out every 7 to 14 days, and we would love to have you be a part of our team. Also, leave a comment in the comments section. Let us know what you think about this presentation, and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. Also, while you're here, listen to some of the music, check out some of the other presentations. Let us know what you think about that too, especially the playlists, because they're designed just for you. Thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you soon.